Wagwan, my name is Jermaine and welcome to Picatude. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to do a personalized t-shirt with the use of heat transfer vinyl along with heat transfer paper. So here, I'm loading the paper inside the vinyl cutter. My cutter of choice is a Roland GX24. You can use whatever cutter you have that supports the optical eye that is able to scan registration marks. The heat transfer paper was printed using a laser printer. So you would send your design to the printer for printing, and then I want to contour cut the design to make sure it doesn't have that white border around it to get rid of that rectangular shape. So the heat transfer paper has been loaded in the vinyl cutter. Here I'm adjusting the settings, and in a minute you'll see where the cutting carriage is scanning those registration marks to make sure it is contoured cut. So my cutter, which is a Roland, has 3 registration marks. So here you'll see it moving around. This portion of the footage has been sped up to eliminate the time. So here it's done. Here it's finished cutting, and I'm now removing the transfer paper from the vinyl cutter. Alright, so here I'm showcasing where I'm using a pick to weed the excess area that is not needed and just leaving the design on the shirt, on the paper rather, sorry. So I'm just making my way all the way around the design, getting rid of that excess. So that's the design. Now here is another design that would be for another shirt. It's basically the same thing where it scans the crop marks and then make it its way around for contour cutting. Alright, so one of the errors that was made was the design was actually bigger than the area reserved for cutting, so it didn't cut the design all the way. So I did this so I could showcase some of the errors that do happen when you're doing this kind of stuff. So I'm using an X-Acto knife here just to basically contour cut away that area that didn't get cut by the machine. So I just want you to know that during this process there's a lot of errors. From time to time you end up with a lot of waste. So this portion here, I'm loading the heat transfer vinyl, this black heat transfer vinyl. So I'm making sure I'm aligning it. Here you see the cutting carriage, it moved across, and now the footage has been sped up, making its way through the design and doing its thing. Alright, so here the design has been completed. I'm removing the vinyl from the machine, and I'm going to hold it up to the camera in a bit so hopefully you can see the cut lines and stuff. I'm not sure how well it shows up on camera, but when I take it to the weeding table, hopefully you'll see where the cuts were made. So basically what I'm doing here is basically sectioning up the design to make weeding an easier process. So in a minute you see me take the weeding tool or a pick and make my way through the design. So here the design has been spread up. That was my son, singing and enjoying himself. That's what he does from time to time. So I didn't bother to, you know, cut that from the footage or mute it. So here the image has been sped up, where you can see me weeding, you know, the excess areas and then removing the cavities. So the weeding has been completed. I'm just holding this up to the camera so you can see the design. All right, so here I had some stars and some footprints. So I'm basically weeding. Those are different colors. So just making my way, weeding it through here. The image, of course, has been sped up again, just to save time. Now we over to the heat press. You see me loading the shirt, making sure to get rid of much of the wrinkles as I possibly can. And I'm basically now adjusting the pressure. So the pressure wasn't, it was too firm. So I'm basically, you know, loosening it a bit to make sure I get the right pressure. So this is what you would call a pre-press. What a pre-press does is basically get rid of moisture and wrinkle. So here you see me placing the first design that was contour cut. That's the design that was printed on the transfer paper. The recommended temperature for pressing the heat transfer paper is 320 degrees up to 350. So depending on your heat press, this time may vary. So I'm pressing for 320 degrees, and this should be pressed anywhere from 25 seconds to 30 seconds. Now this wasn't pressed for the full duration of the time because I was going to add other elements, which is the footprints and the stars to the design. So this is what you see me doing here. So there is no sequence in placing these. You just want to place them all over and try not to have the colors same colors close to each other. So what you see me adding is a cover sheet to protect the transfer paper from coming in direct contact with the heat pattern, as this will stick to the heat pattern. So as I mentioned earlier, this should be pressed for 25 to 30 seconds, but you may see my timer is not at that 25 to 30 seconds. It was set up, I think it was 50 or 60 seconds. So I'm just watching it. So here you see me peeling away the carrier sheet from the vinyl. And then I'm peeling away that cover sheet that was there to protect the transfer paper. This particular one, because you see I started peeling it, then I let go because the temperature was still hot, so the vinyl was somewhat coming up. So I'm putting back the cover sheet, and then I'm going to add a Teflon sheet on top to make sure that there is proper adhesion with the transfer and the shirt. So that would have been the complete design, cut and printed. So I'm holding it up to the camera so you can see. Alright, so here I have loaded the other t-shirt and pre-pressed. So I'm just aligning the design, putting it in place. And just gently moving it around to make sure it's in the center. I'm just eyeballing it to make sure that, it's aligned and in the center. The ideal thing to do is to use a tape measure to measure that it's equal distance from both sides. Here again, I had applied the cover sheet and I'm giving it a quick tack to get the transfer paper to bond to the t-shirt. Now I'm removing that cover sheet or grease paper you can use, and then I'm going to apply the other elements. In this case, Daddy Off, and then the birthday boy. So again, I'm going to do a quick tack. So a quick tack is basically not pressing all the way, but to have the heat transfer vinyl just to, for a minute, adhere to the t-shirt as you'll be adding other elements. So you don't want to go a full press on that and then have the other elements applied and then press again for the full duration, as that would have exceeded the recommended time. So now that the quick tack has been done, where the Daddy of the birthday boy has been done, I'm now applying the footprints and stars to this design as well. So I'm just putting them, all over the shirt, trying to get a good balance in terms of where I put the colors and stuff. Now I'm applying that cover sheet again, and then I'm going to apply the Teflon sheet to make sure I cover the other exposed heat transfer vinyl. And this should be pressed for the duration of the 25 to 30 seconds. I mean, the time has been cut and edited, so you won't see the full duration of the time. So I'm just removing the Teflon sheet, the cover sheet, and then I'm going to remove the transfer mask that was on the vinyl. So after I remove that, all of those, and that would have been the complete process. So in that case, because it was still hot, I was trying to use my hand to try and dissipate some of the heat. So I'm going to hold this t-shirt up to the camera again so you can have a look at the final result. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to subscribe, share this video with a friend, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.